All right, hello and welcome, my friends. Hambbage here, and thanks so much for dropping by. Hope you make yourselves comfortable and are off to a wonderful day, evening, middle of the night, mid-afternoon, chill time, whatever you got going on your end. I hope you're having a great one, and I hope this can be a part of it. So we're gonna play some hardcore vanilla Minecraft, and I'm gonna apologize in advance. This one already feels a bit like duct tape and baling wire edition. So if there are lawnmower noises, um, phone interruptions, authentication problems, we could have any number of things going on, and I apologize for any of them that may come up. So, yeah, with that warning in mind, it'll probably go smooth. I hope we've covered everything that may come along here. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a bumpy takeoff here from my side today. I hope we've cleared the turbulence in flight parlance and are now in good shape. Um, Mainly, there's always something that can be going on, right? So that a mud, a mud amid all the other things going on in our various pre-stream activities. Let's try that. The most unexpected, or I guess unplanned for, was I received. I don't know what triggered it. Well, you know what? Here's what it was. I was in a streamer's deal, and I was going to use a Prime sub. I've been a Prime subscriber way before Twitch, I believe, was a thing. It may have been out there, but I certainly didn't know of it at the time. And while that was always a thing for me, I have never used a deal that is now currently branded as Prime Gaming in Twitch. And Amazon owns Twitch, as far as I know. I think that's the relationship there. But whatever it is, and I think even before that went through, there was an association between Amazon Prime and Twitch. Basically, if you have a Prime account, you get one free ongoing sub. So I was going to use that, get it set up, and I'd been gifted a sub into a particular channel. I'm not going to disclose any of that. You guys don't need to know. If you happen to be a member of that one as well and you see it pop, hey, awesome. But I'm not trying to hype anybody particularly out there. I'd certainly love to give you guys shout outs when appropriate, but at the moment at least, the main part of that story is I was banging around because I didn't understand that you could not extend a gifted sub by applying your Prime until after it expired. So I've kind of got to wait. I was jumping the gun a little bit, but I was banging around trying to figure out how to make that happen. And in the process, Twitch was like, hey, we notice you don't have two-factor authentication. Don't you think that's a good idea? And for the record, yes, always a good idea. Don't leave home without it, so to speak. By the way, we're gonna at least go do a test on our carpet from the other night. I would like to build. I think we can probably get 2 episodes in today at a minimum. But again, I apologize in advance if there's. Nope, that wasn't what we needed to do. That was. I apologize in advance if there's any phone or anything interruptions. I think more than likely we'll cap off the recordings a bit this evening, just because I have a couple of activities upcoming this afternoon, evening, and that's good. I encourage all of you guys too. It's always good to balance and make sure that you're doing things out there in the real world as well. And I understand we all have different levels of comfort interacting out there, but find your jam, whatever your groove is. Like I said, a lot of the time for me, it's just going for walks. Again, I was up out the door at like 6 this morning, and it was so nice. It was a little chilly, frankly, but it was so nice to be up and out, going around. But for me, at least, I need some human interaction too. And my friends that don't do any kind of game, and they laugh when I talk about, yeah, I've been playing a bunch of Minecraft. Really? Oh, okay, it's a kid's game. That we've all heard that. That was not Magma Cream. That was. Anyway, we need to put this down. That's how these shulker boxes work. Let me tell you about how shulker boxes work. So, this is probably going to be every bit trolly. That is not at all how carpet works. Carpet didn't change, did it? Why? You guys seeing that? What an awful return. Why would you ever do this? If you make the carpet and then dye it, well, I mean, I guess we've already got the carpet. I was thinking it was the wool, putting wool down. I was looking a little bit wrong. But you can dye 8 pieces at a time, or just dye the wool, dye the sheep as we did, and then do it is the real way to do it. But, if you were just trying to do it last minute. But anyway, that's a weird... What are you doing? Get out of there. Bad. Go away. So, I don't know how much of this we're going to do, but that's a good old chunk of blue and lots of white. So, we will do a little bit of hack and slash and hack and slash and carpeting here to start the episode. How do you guys know? Like, oh, you know what? I bet if he was going to do some carpeting, he would start against the dang wall. You guys are such jerks. Get out of here. Don't. Oh. Go slow. Sorry about the noise, by the way. And not lawnmower, just portal noise in the game. Kind of want to just kill these guys off, but... Oh, man. We're gonna need so much more carpet. Oh. This is why I'm putting this carpet in, because you guys are awful. How many was this? I don't even remember how many across we went on these. I think I'd like to do like a ring of blue. We don't want to go through. A ring of blue, and then like a central strip of blue. But unfortunately, you know, it kind of doesn't work unless it all works, right? Because they're just gonna cluster spawn, I believe, in whatever spots are not carpeted, if this plan even works. And the biggest question in the plan is whether or not the ghasts can spawn above these things. So we kind of got to go all in first. Oh, I just had an idea. Go all in just to get an idea of whether it may work. And then go from there. Because what'll happen is we're going to know that, I suspect at least, I don't know this for sure, but I suspect we're going to see very, very quickly and regularly that I think we want to go a 3 here. Alright. Sadly, these are going to go so quick. Pretty sick, huh? Alright, then here. That needs to be 2. No way. Man. We need a lot more sheep and a lot more carpet. Oh my goodness. I guess what, we went like 64 in each direction. So that makes more sense. So I'm thinking we do just a ring of blue around each of these sides, the central stripe, and then something in the middle of these just to break up the spaces a little bit. But again, the hope is, and there'll probably be ghasts in here as we go the next time we come back to try to blow it all up, but the hope would be we can fill in these rooms, not have any lava slimes or pigmen or hoglins or brutes or whatever they are, any of those guys spawning in here because they're on the floor, and then the ghasts will be up above. Granted, with all of the all the wool that's going to take, we may be in for it. We can at least pick up our box and put it away. So, now that we know that, that we need like a full shulker's worth of wool, do we go back out to the fields and work on getting some more of that? Or do we start on the next little bit of the build? I think maybe we're going to insert the build. I don't plan to do a ton on it, but the piece that I kind of have next in mind will go up on the top, and I don't, I say, oh yeah, we don't have much of an episode in that. It'll probably take like 4 once we get going and I start tweaking on stuff, but yeah, we'll just have to close, and amazing how quick they stop once you get out. Just hauling along, and then nope, done. That was our stairs. I thought for a second that was going to be a slimy. So, yeah, we got our tools. I think all our smooth, regular sandstone is in the outside boxes. I should have checked the clock. But as long as it's not too... No, it's very dark out. Sleep with the doggies. Hi, doggies. I haven't seen you since yesterday, for me. Everybody else is like, what? I just hung out with those dogs. The other thing we're doing, and for anybody who's really in the know, I apologize. It's kind of like a dangle and yank. I threw out a challenge, or I guess just an offer that, hey, if anybody's really on it, go ahead and grab up the opportunity to... What is that N? That's crazy. I've never seen that. Whatever. I said, hey, if you have a male and female versions of first type names, let me know, and we'll use them or consider them at least. And again, I'm not at the point where you're not buying anything here. Please always consider my mind open. If you have recommendations or ideas, if you think of a good name for something that hasn't been named, drop it in a comment. If I like it, if it resonates, I'm down. But remember, this is I want you guys to feel ownership. You guys that are hanging out watching every episode, that's amazing, and I want you to feel included. But it's, for lack of a better word, my name on the world, and I'm not just feeling obliged to put something in if it doesn't work for me, or if I feel whether intended or not, it's something that other people could take offense to. And I'm not going to gatekeep on a lot of that kind of stuff. I got a guy's mind. If it's not outright over the top, yeah, I listen to FM morning radio, or at least I did when I was a little bit younger. And I kind of consider that the margin, right? If it can get away on like an FM morning drive radio show where the disc jockeys are, kind of that a little bit of fun, right? And they can push the envelope. I'm okay. I'm okay with all that. And, I've sworn a couple times on here accidentally. I try not to for your guys' sake, not knowing who you are and what your background is. But, yeah, every once in a while they slip out. We all can try to be better people. So, anyway, long story short, please submit your comments. Don't feel that just because something may have changed in a episode further ahead, like I said in the comment note, if I end up naming something and then read yours after the fact, I may use them for some other animals or something. So keep them coming. I really do appreciate them. Anyway, our first horse was the light-colored horse with the dark back, and then we went back over past the sheep and found the brown-colored horse with the black back. And we then bred them to make a baby horse. And the baby horse was of the lighter variety. So it's going to pull one of its parents when they're not the same style. And so from that, I'm kind of assigning the lighter colored horse as the mommy horse. And I'd said, one male, one female. We don't really, it's Minecraft. It doesn't make those judgments, and it can be very flexible. some amphibians and things like that can have those attributes. But without getting into too much of it, we're going to call our white horse with the female name, and I kind of am doubling these up. The names that I often use, if it's just my own world, are Prima or Prime, whether it's male or female, if it has a designation. Now I'm doing that, but I'm calling this Alley Prima. And if anybody knows where Alley is associated to, hey, shout that out in the, put that in the comments too. I'll give you a shout out. Uh, there's a big hint in something I've been talking about quite a bit in recent episodes, so I'll try to refrain from directly mentioning that source here in this episode, just so you have to work a little bit for it if you haven't already known. But yeah, it's a good one. We'll see. The earlier, I don't think we had enough people hanging out when I earlier asked some questions, so we'll give this one a shot. If you know where I'm pulling Allie from for our first female horse's name, let me know. So there's Allie Prima, and then uh, going back to my Midwestern roots, uh, a name kind of from the Scandinavian background, Ollie, and we'll call Ollie Prime. So that's our masculine horse name. So let's go get them our names. And as you can probably tell, since we're doing that, I have sort of decided in my mind here. Let's go visit the sheep again. Um, there's a couple advantages to doing. Leave alleys out of the way. A couple advantages to doing that now that we have the horse. What do we do with all those leads? Are they in the... We put them back in the boxes? Probably, right? Do I have more leads laying around? I do. I don't think they do me a whole lot of good there, so let's pull them out. And I think our hay bales were somewhere associated with us, so that's good. So, having kind of gone on the animal direction, um, which I'm not super happy. You know, this isn't like a ha ha ha. I found a reason not to build. I'm not super happy about it. It was really that finding out. Yeah, we need a ton of carpet. Let's check out our build though. From this angle, not too much, but man, what I got planned is coming. Um, what I've got planned is coming. Yeah, I think it's gonna add a whole lot to the no sheep is safe. That's that would be a bad idea. Dun 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 dun. I got jokes for days. Um, hey, this is clearing a little bit more. That's good. Okay, so we've kind of made a bit of a paddock just by having this section for really designed to Ollie. There you go. I guess we should have given Allie hers first. But these are our first two horses. They're kind of cool. I'm not going to name all the horses, but these two get names. And you, little fella, will grow up big and strong. So, yeah, you guys can just chill and kind of bounce around here. We're going to definitely run around and get these early. Since we've got a second again to talk about this, and I didn't really talk too much last time about, what all are we doing out here? We know it's a grand residential operation for shearing sheep. Um, but in addition to sheep and their woolly goodness, we also want to uh, do more work with horses, maybe cattle. I don't know how firmly I'm going to commit to that without... Look at them all just hanging out at these gates. ha ha! You can't get out. You could though. Let's see if we can send you in search of more food. Yeah, that'll get you. Oh, don't want the horses out there. One gate would seemingly be difficult for them to maneuver, except when they're trying, when you don't want them to go. We'll come right out. A couple there we can't. Hey, you grew up. Good job, horsey. So obviously we don't want to leave them just kind of in these passageways for getting the sheep from pen to pen. They really need their... Okay, I do still have the bed. I was a little worried there. They're going to need an enclosure. And that's one of the things I'm still kind of talking about here. The other one is checking my memory on what we did with or whether we had seen donkeys in this immediate area. Not too certain, actually. So that's something to look at, and then I also need to check while we're out here and see if I brought any more wheat out this way. There goes some maybe leaf blower sounds. So again, apologies for all that. Just was starting up as I was kind of prepping up and figuring out the two-factor authentication through OBS. I guess I never really completely finished relating that. Not that it's super exciting. I set up two-factor authentication for Twitch. I'm a big proponent of two-factor. We've all got phones. Just do it. Set it up. It's so much better and easier. And then you don't have to, again, it's an extra step, yeah, but how inconvenient is it really compared to having to, ultimately try to reset up everything? And when you're trying to connect with other people, that can be a real barrier if, they've gotten to know you as a certain thing, and then all of a sudden you lose the integrity of that account, have to start all over again. Those viewers may not find you again, or may not know where to look. So definitely do it before you need to. Kind of one of those deals. You'll be happy if you did. All right, let's check here. Because one other thing that I'd kind of like to do while we're getting going here is see about, of course, as soon as I start, that's when the phone starts blowing up. Like I said, I may need to apologize in advance because we're gonna have some potential interruptions. So what I'm hoping to do is finish this episode, talk to everybody I need to talk to, finalize plans, and be like, all right, I'm out. You guys fend for yourselves for the next couple hours, or I'll check in an hour, but don't expect responses. And I'm kind of blowing this up. That's not how they operate. It wouldn't be fun hanging out with his friends if that wasn't the case. And they don't know that I'm currently doing this. So, but it does never fail. Like you sit around, you've talked about stuff all through the week, and then it's like, oh no, don't rush me. Oh, now we've got to talk about it, kind of deal. So I apologize if there's beeps and blooms and all that kind of stuff. Normally, I move the phone away from the table I have the laptop set up on because it vibrates. When it's in silent mode, it still vibrates to let me know, and I could turn that off, but I like to have a little, especially if somebody's like repeatedly trying to call and I have the phone, buried, or normally when it's not, it's either on the charger on a pad or it's kind of muffled on the couch. And that's been pretty good at limiting the disruptions. While I can kind of be aware in the background that, hey, that's... Oh, don't you go out. We haven't fed them yet. Well, another thing we need to do while we're out here is go get into whatever that cave is and clear it out, man. I'm sick of the witch laughs and the skelly sounds and the zombie groans. Yeah, I'm talking about you guys. I know you're down there somewhere. And I don't like you. Speaking of all that background stuff, we're halfway. So, good. Let's, cycle. Let's go see if we can do that, cave / clearing. Now, we had the entrance over where we found the brown horse, but I think surest way, we have everything that we need. Let's get this cleared back up. Switch out the shovel. And I think if we just... Close this grabber. I really hope that goes all the way up to the lake, whatever's in the middle of the sheep thing, so we can get flooded out in here. That's not a good spot. That is. Suppose it's a good idea to top off the food, not... Oh! Okay, well, we're in it now. We got double creeper. Whew! Oh, and I'm not hungry yet. That's why you should have the golden apples on the bar. Okay. Not very graceful. Just thinking the Nether, that could have been a fall to real trouble. But I think that's our cluster that we've really, yeah, this combination of holes. Now, we came in there. Oh, I don't even have any stone handy. Definitely not in the practice of, you know, the abandoned mines and all that. Yeah, you just kind of run around, but actual caving wasn't really planning on this. It was much more about shearing our sheep, and it wasn't even really about that. Okay, and this was where we got the horse, I believe. So we could have just done that. He tried to escape. Then he made the mistake of coming back. Perfect. All right, well, now we've got a little crossover there. I'm not saying that cave is fully explored, but at least we got the lights under the part where it's right underneath our feet. Yeah, let's take them down. Now the question is, can we play this skeleton creeper game with these guys? Oh, there's one. This is my new second favorite game after the albums. Get him. Get him. Do my work for me. Love it. The only thing we could have done better there would have been to have gotten a screenshot of it. Next time. All right. Now, how are we doing again? We should do a... that was 5 minutes. Alright, we should do another shearing. We should do a feeding of the big sheep pen. You guys hopefully will be ready to have your fourth, since the other one has grown up. Out of combat mode into sheeping mode. Oh, there we go. You come back. Get all these. Hit him again. Come over and do these, then we'll go into the big pen and feed up again in there, because we need a lot more sheep in that area. Should have been doing that from the start, but I clearly didn't have the wool. The wheat. And just got busy with the shearing. The shearing is kind of, it's a little addictive, I gotta say. Alright, sun's setting. Before, I know we're gonna go feed the sheep. Don't you guys worry. But let's make this. So much trash. Our sortable trash. Let's combine these. Then, do we just absorb everything? I thought I grabbed these. Oh, and the iron was the other. I don't quite know how I didn't manage that very well, but whatever. Now, bed, and oh, that's the stone. Very flummoxed. And I don't know why. I haven't even touched. It's like early afternoon. I had 1 cup of coffee with breakfast. I've got this other one sitting here. But I kind of got busy with stuff and didn't really even bother with it. So I don't think I'm super caffeinated, but I kind of feel like just go, 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 go. I think it's the last episode too. I was noticing it, man. I was like just all over the place with these sheep. There's something about the rushing around and the getting their wool and trying to then feed them and then get back over to the other ones, and with the little pens not letting them in and out, all over the place all the time. All right, let's multiply your numbers. You guys. I don't think you have any friends to balance out with, but they'll grow up. Don't you worry. Oh, he would. Come on, over here. I got a friend for you. One of these sheep. That it? Looks like it. Yeah, there we go. Alright, good job. For that, will you get sheared? So really the only gotcha or limit that you want to watch out for with the sheep is making sure that you don't have so many that they're constantly taking all the grass. I believe the long grass will help with that, and if you ever have real problems, they will, even if they eat, the fence pieces should be preserved, so you should be pretty safe where in an area like this the grass will spread back out again. I don't think we're going to get up quite that far, but it is just something to keep in mind as we're going around. And for all of you guys that are thinking it, no, we're not doing a conveyor water trough sheep shearing dispenser deal. Not yet. I mean, maybe It would all depend on the length of the world and everything. But for now, for this scale, heck no. They're sheep. You that oh, maybe it does happen in the real world. I guess I don't know. But you know, this is no. Hey, dude, what are you doing? Come here. No, no, come here. Hey, why do they break the leads so darn quick too? Yeah, no, 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 no. That's the second time, though. I don't know if they're the same. Well, I don't think they can be the same sheep because the other sheep was, haha, it was down there, and we'd already had these filled. So who knows? What? Now we got more zombies. I think that's just highlighting I didn't do enough of the cave. Well, if we get these sheared again and find that they're not ready to breed, then we'll maybe... You guys ready? Oh, alright, that's good. That means more cave time for us. Ah, the soothing sounds of lawnmowers. Alright, how are we doing here? It's not too terrible, really. Let's... No. Do this. Go back to magenta. Again, I do apologize. This is not meant to be a troll on the build at all. I just don't think I can express that clearly enough. But I think we will have a lot of good that would come out of that if we can get that down to just ghasts. So it's worth the experiment, in my mind, just to kind of try it. Find out. And over time down here, we can, looks like, come back for some coal. Now, we're not going to get copper down here. Oh, I didn't even get them. But we got some iron down there. Again, not the primary concern right now. Right now, I just don't want to listen to them. And hopefully, with that amount of time, we're back to the shearing and feeding business. We'll get these, and even if we're not getting the wool, we can come back around. I don't think it's going to despawn. Another question for the comments, because we're sure not going to find out in this episode. Anybody remember if we named the Skelly horse? Did I have a name tag on me? Did we bring one back? Having just named those two, I'm now wondering. We've got the Skelly horses back there at, what do we call it? Like the Copperclad Mine or something like that? The portal. First 17 portal we went to. Oh, I forgot. I moved the wheat and didn't think the whole reason we were waiting was to get them hungry again. Come on over. You go. You go. Come on. Who else is still? You two? And everybody? Alright. as I was diving into the cave there and kind of got distracted, I was going to say I'm kind of dating myself here, and I don't remember it clearly, but what I do remember is as a kid, there was the huge phenomenon, and it's kind of come full circle, right? We kind of live in this world all over again now, and it's cool. But back in the '80s, it was the um, like Sweeps Week TV miniseries that were produced by the networks, and I don't remember. I was a little kid when these were coming out, and I I wasn't a kid when, like, I think at least in my understanding, Roots was one of the first that really made this whole um, style or production possible or popular. Um, so many people tuned in. They were like, "Oh, we're really onto something here. Let's keep doing this." Um, but for me, the ones that really stood out when I was a little kid were um, the North and South miniseries, and there were two of them. And you guys that are younger may not remember they certainly haven't lived on. I don't think they were anything that great, but I believe one of them had a young Patrick Swayze in it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know for sure, but um, that kind of stands out to me. Anyway, it was these long convoluted, and they made like two of them, but they're basically like targeted, kind of like romantic historical fiction. So they kind of caught the female side on. And I'm being very subjective here, but back in the day, that was kind of how the whole marketing departments probably spoke. There wasn't the same idea that you can just call it what it is. You're marketing, you're leveraging both romance for people that are interested in that and history, drama, violence kind of stuff for the people that are more down with that. Back then it was the housewife, get the housewives with the romance, get basically have the daytime soap opera crowd come into the nights for um, the romantic side, and then get the husbands and the kids and all that to come in for the drama. So you had things like the North and the South, where the first one was the Mexican American War, and the second one was the actual Civil War and how those all played in. And then I remember Shaka Zulu was one about the tribes and uprisings on the African continent. And that I think was directly trying to continue keeping up with um, the success of Roots and uh, how popular it had been. So anyway, um, one that I don't clearly remember at all, except that I remember it being a thing, and I'd kind of hit the age where I was like, dude, these are kind of boring. I'm not just and we were, like I've said many times, I've never sat around just watching stuff, and we never did as a family. When we were little, and those were kind of TV events, and they'd be during the winter. The marketing people were, it's just like right now that they save the best stuff for wintertime, when they know most people are going to be cooped up inside. No matter where you are, even if your winters are pretty mild, you don't tend to do, you're not picnicking or going to outdoor concerts and things in the middle of December, January, February. So it was the same deal growing up, and we'd kind of all bundle up. We had a kind of a rec room basement. As I've said before, I grew up in a split level house, so had a den, a small like laundry room slash den slash desk room, small bedroom sized on the floor with the garage that was semi buried, depending on which side of the house you were on. A main floor that was bigger with kitchen, living room, dining room, and entry hallway kind of thing. And underneath that was this bigger basement. And at the time it was unfinished, but my dad did the finishing, and it kind of grew up as we did. At first it was very bare bones even before I was born. But as I was a little kid, I remember it had not quite shag carpet, but like the '80s big loops carpet kind of stuff, and um, some, at that point, some old couches and stuff like that. And, my parents would have friends over and play cards. I've talked about that before too, how much of a phenomenon that was. That's kind of moved. The neighbors would come over, and they'd have a party, or different social groups that they knew would come over, and they'd hang out down in the basement. So it was nice enough, but it wasn't quite like the living room, right? That had the grandparents passed down furniture and stuff like that, and that kids didn't. We could, if we were having like a family get together or something, and people were having the adults were having a glass of wine and some appetizers or whatever, the kids were out, we could bring toys in there and play. It wasn't like off limits, like you're not good enough to be in this room. But it was the night. We weren't expected to just go in there and play. And you're little kids, right? If one of those lamps got knocked off, it would be tough, because that would be probably a family heirloom, but something that my mom had gotten from her grandparents' house when they had moved out of it, or whatever, however that works. So yeah, we didn't just have the run of the mill, but our basement was the opposite. It was so cozy and kind of accessible, and we, as kids, had like a toy room off to the back that was really like just a storage divided room from my dad, kind of the utility room where my dad had a workbench and everything. That was there, and then the space was just divided out again to where it had this little, could have been a bedroom, except today it wouldn't be because it had no egress from its bedroom / death trap. But no, it was our little kids' playroom. It was where all of our toys and things went, and in there we couldn't break anything that wasn't just ours, so we could go crazy. And then this other room was soft colors, comfy old couches and stuff like that. And at times in the winter we'd go down there and have dinner down in the basement, and it had a fireplace at one end. And very rarely my dad would build a fire or put one of those Duraflame logs on there just to burn. And, we thought it was so cool. And we would watch these miniseries and hang out, work jigsaw puzzles as a family as we were doing, watching them. So, for me, when the lovey-dovey kind of stuff came on, and this wasn't indecent, this was primetime network TV back in the 80s. It was pretty tame, but when it went to all that stuff that I thought was boring, I'd focus in on the puzzle. And when it went into the battle-y stuff, and I'm sure my sister was less interested, she'd focus. Parents would just kind of do whatever they did. But anyway, all that, I was getting a little outgrown on that and feeling like, man, do we have to? And at that point, a series called The Thornbirds came on, and I don't remember much at all about it, except that it was in Australia, and this does all have a point, believe it or not. It was set in Australia, and I believe maybe around World War I, or, so a lot of these were epic, so they kind of probably spanned a lot more than I remember. But it was about this, family that set up sheep shearing operations in the Australian outback, which of course is a huge industry and still is, but particularly as Australia was a colony back in the day, but kind of no longer just the, hey, we sent all the convicts and now we don't care about it. Like, oh, this is actually kind of a big place relative to merry old England, and there's a lot of places to live and seek your fortune. Maybe more people will go down there. Anyway, I don't know what it probably is all very well explained in that story, The Thornbirds. All I remember about it was, there was this show, And in Australia, they had these massive sheep things, and one of the scenes was like a head-to-head sheep shearing competition because they didn't have much to do out there. And it was like, if you think you're so tough, can you shear the 20 sheep or shear one sheep in so much time? I don't know what the deal was, but vaguely recall it. And every time I come out here, I think, like, oh yeah, this is the massive sheep operation. Um, so yeah, that's what it was. Um, and so I call it gross, or the grand uh, residential operation for shearing sheep, thinking in terms of these just sprawling, massive endeavors out there um, where sheep were raised primarily for their wool as opposed to food or anything else, and how they were so different from the traditional English sheep farms, which, were stuck on the side of a mountain or something like that. It was very lush and green and hilly, and um, the sheep would all be clustered, and the contrast with Australia where it's flat and brownish colors, and dry. So here in western United States, sheep had a huge influence as well, but it was and remains much less known because it was hugely divisive at the time. How are we doing on time now that I'm babbling? 57. All right. Very quick as we just putter around here with our shears. Um, I think a lot of folks are aware of the American romanticized image of the cowboy and the cattle drive, right? When the Great Plains were first being opened up, and even before they were, there was no rail traffic or connection between the various people that had gone out and established these very early ranches. They knew, hey, there's a market for beef, there's a market for um, cow hide for making clothes and fabric, all the other stuff. Especially before this is before synthetic fabrics and everything had come along. So you needed a lot of the hide utility too, but not to mention like tallow and all the other animal products that could be raised. So there's all this land. It's not particularly good for farming. They figured out very quickly because there's just not reliable enough rain. But it's very good for grazing. It grows grass incredibly well, and you send out cattle. You don't need to do a whole lot of improving. They kind of fend for themselves. You just go round them up at the time that they're ready to be harvested, and then you walk them to wherever you can then process them, and that's where all the kind of Kansas City and Dodge and Topeka and some of those places, they all became railheads for the eventual transcontinental railroads and everything to get those cows before they were ever harvested, right? Those didn't become meat processing towns. Places like Chicago did, because Chicago and St. Louis and Kansas City back on the river, because those were closer to the east and they could actually get the meat and things to the city after they'd harvested the cows without it spoiling. So anyway, that part of the history I think is pretty well known. And then, eventually gunfights at the OK Corral and all that kind of stuff, because it was a boom. There's money to be made in those, and the only places that all that money came together were when the cows were brought in for processing. When the cowboys that are scattered out over the middle third of the whole continent come together with the cattle, and then they get the money, and so that's where the saloons, all the Miss Kitty's house of ill repute and all that kind of stuff, all those things pop up right there, because that's where the liquid money is to be spent. It's just like the later mining camps and the gold rushes and things like that. that's where all the action is. So that's where everybody goes. Well, anyway, the cattle train people wanted to be able to drive their cattle across and graze them on the way. And they were called free rangers. And they wanted to just be able to, kind of nomadically move these. Kind of, were a I guess a template for not being very forward thinking, right? They didn't, their model was built on not having railroads, not being connected, and saying, well, this is the way we've done it. We want to be able to do that. And then there were the people that started buying the land and saying, you're not moving your cattle across my land. I'm grazing my cattle here. And they were putting up barbed wire. And barbed wire became this huge divisive technology where you could fence off the prairie and say, no, this is my land, no trespassing. And now that's kind of a right of the West. You seriously do not, in some of these remote places, go onto people's land or cross a fence line. I mean, I would hope that it doesn't come to this very often, but the signs say you'll be shot. We're not messing around. You don't come onto my land without permission, and that is a legacy of their forebears saying this is our land and defending it. And there were the cattle wars and the range wars, and that was very much about sheep versus cattle. And the cattlemen hated the sheep because the sheep eat grass down to the root. They are much more thorough in mowing, if you will, the grass. So they cut it down, and that's kind of represented here in Minecraft. They eat it down to bare dirt. Cattle, on the other hand, eat a whole lot more, but they don't do it as thoroughly. So they'll just go along and rip a mouthful of grass out of the ground, and the grass stays, I don't know how many inches, I'm no real expert, but the grass stays long enough that it recovers much more quickly, can turn over, and you can't have the two sets of animals grazing on the same ground. The grass that they prefer to eat will not thrive in the same areas. So people bringing sheep into the plains and some of the mountainy areas and things like that was a huge fight when this idea of open range was a deal. It would only take a herd of sheep to come in and ruin the open range area for the cattle that are also left free to wander on it. So there were outright, bans. If you worked for Outfit A, you would, take up arms and chase off. I don't think it nearly as often as it's portrayed to have. I don't think it ultimately came to fatalities and shootings, but there were a lot of roughing people up. And there's, in an area where there was no law, so to speak, one outfit could come and, basically beat you within an inch of your life and say, you're done on this land, get gone. And, it would really come to who's going to give first. And all of that stuff that then built up, the idea of Texas Rangers coming out to provide law in the southern part, and all the other agencies that did similar acts in different territories and states and others, that was really the motivation, was sheep versus cattle. So in the United States, since beef kind of won, right? You don't hear what's for dinner mutton very much on the media, but you do hear the whole, everybody knows the Copland orchestral piece, the beef it's what's for dinner song, because the beef people want you to know that. They're a major advocate, and I'm not opposed to or in favor of. I love beef. I love mutton. I love lamb. I know some people get really upset about that, but hey, I've eaten veal too. I'm not opposed to it. It's an animal product, and I I understand that. I've been in the places where all those things are raised and done, and it's kind of a part of the world. So I don't, get judgmental on how that all works. But I don't have a side or anything. But as a person who's interested in history, I think it is important that people don't realize. Everybody knows about cattle trains and all that. People don't know much of the sheep raising history of the Western states, but it's definitely there, and was another big part of it, and certainly one side of a very heated two-side disagreement about what the future would look like. But anyway, that's how much did we get here? Not very much blue. Man, how close are we? I would love to just at least get a full row and see what that does. 106. Let's go get these blue sheepies one more time. Get all the pen sheeps again. See if we can do it quick without mass escapes. That should at least get us a stack of blue, which should then get us a couple stacks of blue carpet. Oh, man. Come on. Look at them all. As soon as the wheat goes away, they're like, nope, I'm out. Now these guys all stuck over here until I shear them, and then they're going to want out the door. Look at them, already waiting. Oh, you turned at the wrong moment, son. Okay. So we talked about sheep and cows. We're not going to talk about news stories. In fact, I should start saying how awesome you guys are. Wow, 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 wow. And I know it kind of varies day of the week when, and at the moment I'm very much trying to maintain at least one video 7 days a week. I think, as you're getting started, as I'm getting started, that's so important. You got to have people, you got to have new content for anybody that wants it at whatever rate they may want to consume it. And I think, tongue in cheek, some of you that are the most faithful and into this world have even joked, man, it's tough to keep up. Well, that's okay, and it's one of the beauties of YouTube. Your content's not going anywhere. You guys can come back in a year, but for my sake, it's very welcome to see that people are consuming it on a regular basis and seemingly enjoying it. That's awesome. Really glad. So keep that up. Keep staying awesome. And please, as you have been, again, this is more of a thank you than a request or a demand, but I get such a charge out of seeing your comments and knowing that you guys are enjoying the world and the content that we've got out here. That I hope you keep it up, and I hope any of you guys that are just finding us, or we're going to save it right here, are just finding just in time for the leaf blower. Good. That's got to be very good. Something good. I know good. Good is good. Hera, like in German, that would be, Herr is Sir or man, meine Damen und Herren, my ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know. But then again, this is probably Scandinavian, Norwegian. Okay. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Let's wrap this up. I already said it. Thank you guys so much. Keep those likes, comments, and subscriptions coming. That way you guys can be plugged in and hear more awesome sounds of leaf blowers outside my window anytime. Stay awesome. Take a break after you watch this one and before the next. I'll do the same and let these blowers go away, and then we'll do one more and try to work on our tower some. Until then, take care. Bye now.